Hello, this video serves as a quick tutorial on how to find an article for your first presentation. Now, just as a quick reminder, your first presentation, you're supposed to investigate a particular facet of interpersonal communication in more depth. And then you're supposed to go ahead and give a presentation on that. You're supposed to videotape it or video record it and then upload it to either our Google Drive or YouTube. Uh, so one of the reasons that I like to do this is it lets you take some time to go ahead and research a part of interpersonal communication that might be most important to you. For example, there is interpersonal communication that is important for pilots, right? Airplane pilots. There's a particular type of interpersonal communication that they engage in with the tower. If you're a nurse or a doctor, there's interpersonal communication is very, very important, and there's research out there about that. Same thing if you are a human resources manager, a sales manager, any kind of job or career you're going to go into, there's going to be interpersonal communication that's going to be relevant. If you want to look more at families, there's plenty of research about that. If you're interested in media, like social media, stuff like things of that nature, there's going to be research about that as well. So the first thing you want to do is you want to go ahead and go to the St. Ambrose Library webpage. I'm currently on campus, so I don't have to log in or anything. If you are doing this at home, you'll have to put in your user ID and log in from a distance that way. Go ahead, click here, go up here to click Find Articles. All right. From here, go ahead and scroll down to, if I can find it, EBSCOhost, English. And then what you want to make sure that you are clicking is going to be Communication and Mass Media Complete. Continue. And then here you can go ahead and you can type in your search terms. The first things you're going to want to type in is going to be interpersonal communication. And then let's say, for example, I'm going to put in social media. This will help narrow it down. Let's see what we come up with. All right, so I've got about 1,500 different results. So one of the things we want to do is we want to do a limit. So we want to limit it to full texts. Okay, it needs to be a full text. And we want it to limit it to scholarly, peer-reviewed articles, which is down here. Okay, and so that limits us to 686, and then you can just kind of go through and scroll and start finding what it is that most interests you. All right, so interpersonal surveillance on social media, that would be interesting of me. Shyness, sociability, and the role of media synchronicity and the use of computer-mediated communication for interpersonal communication. All right, that would be interesting. New media across cultures, that could be interesting. Now, most of the articles that you're going to be looking at and looking for, you're going to want a minimum of 15 pages with probably a maximum of 25 pages. You have to make sure that you have enough information so that you can give a 5 to 7 minute speech. All right. Once you have found your article, go ahead, go to Blackboard, go to the presentation one topic. Okay. Go ahead, click here, and you can create your thread. You just go ahead, you can put in the name of your article if you want, and then go ahead and attach the article. Right. So when you're in the library, make sure you go ahead and download it and just go ahead and attach it. And I will take a look at it and make sure that it is it's an acceptable or it's an okay topic for you to choose. All right, and then you can go ahead and submit it. Okay. One other thing that I thought might be useful for you, and one thing you're probably going to have a little bit of difficulty with, is trying to figure out how to organize this presentation. What I would do when you're trying to organize this presentation, I'm just just going to bring this up here. I think it'll be easier for you to follow along with. Is how we might organize this. So I've given you all sorts, I've given you an outline rubric, I've given you an outline template and all of that kind of thing, but here's how you might want to, obviously going to think about this. Obviously for the first main point, you have the introduction, okay? For your second main point, you're going to want a summary of the article. Right, and with the summary of the article, you're probably going to include things like an explanation of the research questions, okay, or what the researcher did. Okay, so what did they do? The second thing, the second kind of subpoint here might be, is there any definition of terms that need to be defined? And then the last thing is going to be findings. Okay, so what did the researchers find? For your next kind of main points that you're going to want to look at is going to be, what is the relevance to our study of interpersonal communication? Okay, this is so what. Okay, this is like the so what question. So you've explained this article to me, you've explained what the researchers found, so why should we care? The next main point then becomes after reading the article, okay, where do we go from here? What questions remain? So, you know, kind of what are your thoughts now that you've read this? How does this help you? Did this bring up more questions that have to do with interpersonal communication? Maybe you have more questions now than when you started reading the article. Or it's like, oh, I've read this and now I think I need to study another aspect that would link up more closely or in some way. All right, and then obviously the last thing you have is your conclusion. Now, for this particular presentation, your introduction and your conclusion are obviously going to be pretty short. Your two longest points are going to be the summary of the article and the relevance to our study of interpersonal communication. Okay, and I'm guessing that what questions remain and that sort of thing are going to be pretty short. Okay, if you have any other questions, be sure to ask me.